If you're really sensitive and easily overstimulated, then this is for you. Something that's going to be really helpful for you is to understand the difference between being overstimulated and underfunctioning. Underfunctioning leads to overstimulation, but not all overstimulation is because you are underfunctioning. For example, underfunctioning could be anything from not getting enough sleep to being sick one day to being in a dysregulated nervous system because you have unhealed trauma. When you're under functioning, you're not able to be your true self. You're not able to tap into that part of you that has the capacity to actually handle challenges in your life and be resilient, to be able to manage conflict, to not get reactive and defensive, right? It's going to affect your ability to make decisions, and it's going to affect your temper. It's going to affect your patience levels, all those things. It's also going to color the lens in which you see yourself, you see others in the world, and it's most likely not going to be accurate, right? Like, we all know that when you're hangry, it's like everything is so annoying, and then you eat food and you're like, oh, actually, you're not the problem, and I'm sorry for yelling at you, right? So the same thing happens when our nervous system is dysregulated, when we have unresolved trauma, and we're operating from beliefs that are keeping us on like a hyper vigilant state of being. We're not able to be our true selves. We're not able to handle the stimulation that this world just throws at us, especially in this day and age. Now, overstimulation is a very real experience, okay? It happens a lot, and especially with this digital age, it is so easy to be overstimulated. However, when you're not able to manage all the stimulation in your life, it's not just because the world is so much. There's also an element of self-responsibility of looking at your capacity. Do you have the capacity? Do you have the ability? Do you have the circuits in yourself, in your brain, to make the decisions that are best for you, to notice, oh, I'm doom scrolling right now, that's not helpful, let me get out of that. Or, oh, I'm actually just really tired, I didn't get enough sleep, let me do something about that. Oh, I'm thirsty, I haven't drank water, I haven't eaten today, let me go do something about that. Knowing the difference between underfunctioning and being overstimulated, and also knowing how those two are related, is so incredibly helpful and freeing, because it gives you nuance into your own experience, where now you're not just like going on about the world being like, I'm so overstimulated, I can't go out with friends, I can't do what I want to do, I can't do the work I need to do, I don't have enough time, there's like too much. It's actually what allows you to notice, oh, do I have the wiring, right? Like, is it a capacity issue where it's because you're under functioning in some way? Maybe you're sick and you need to like take a rest, and maybe you need to go for a walk, maybe you need to get off your phone, whatever it is. Like, is it a capacity issue where you need to literally increase your ability to handle stimulation? Or is it an environmental issue where you're just literally overstimulated because of something outside of you that you can remove from your environment or remove yourself from, that is going to help you function better? If it's the latter, it's pretty simple. Like, you either remove the thing that's overstimulating you, or you learn better coping skills, right? Like, if you can't escape it, maybe it's like school is really overstimulating for you because you go to a really big school, for example. Maybe the solution is to make sure you're wearing headphones that are noise canceling so you can walk through the halls or walk through campus without being so overstimulated. There's different ways to approach it when it's just an environmental piece. Not saying that it's like necessarily easy, but it's a lot more of a straightforward approach to it. Now, for most people, it's going to be a mix of being overstimulated by your environment and also underfunctioning. However, the large portion of the stress and the distress that people feel is going to come from the underfunctioning part. Okay, the environmental piece is actually like a really small piece. Now, if you're under functioning, oftentimes this is what leads people to going to see doctors, right? However, there's so many more practitioners than just doctors who can help you if you're under functioning, especially if what you're experiencing does not have a physical root cause, but actually an energetic, emotional, spiritual root cause, which also always manifests as something physical. So think about back pain. For example, when I was a personal trainer, it would be this under functioning that people would oftentimes not even notice because they're just so used to it, right? Like, you can be so used to the pain that comes from the depression or the pain that comes from back pain that you just kind of go about living your life thinking it's normal, like everyone has this, right? So you don't even bother fixing it. But if you were to actually look at the mechanism of it, with back pain, it's like, okay, you have really tight hip flexors. That's the reason why you're actually experiencing this back pain. It has nothing to do with your actual back itself. It's like your body compensating for what you're doing in your day-to-day life in order for you to move in this way. That's why you have this back pain, because your hips are like the root cause of the problem. Okay, energetically, the back Back pain can be dealing with the root chakra, right? It's with safety and security. So think about money issues, think about feeling not worthy, feeling like you have to be perfect in order to be liked, like all of these things that deal with your root survival. Now, there's multiple ways to approaching underfunctioning, and the obvious one is to go get support, right? Go see a doctor, go hire a therapist, go get a coach, go get a Reiki practitioner, like go see somebody to help you with that root cause. That's why I do what I do, because I like to help people at the root cause to heal their underfunctioning, grow their capacity, and help them live their life. However, that's not the only approach. And oftentimes, again, like we go through so many cycles in life that you might find yourself in different cycles at different times. I know I have. I know for myself, when I was under functioning because I was so perfectionistic, depressed, anxious, all the things, I could not even fathom going to get help and support, because subconsciously there was this programming that was like, if I go get help, that means that there's for sure something wrong with me. That means that I am inadequate because I was not able to heal myself, that I wasn't able to fix my own problem because I'm not good enough, right? It's like getting help validated this fear of inadequacy, of unworthiness, unlovability for myself. So of course I tried everything to avoid that, right? I demonized getting help for myself, even though I was the one who was always telling people like, hey, go get help if you need help, right? Like there's nothing wrong with it. But I internally did not believe it. So I remember being in that phase for a long time, and that created so much suffering, so much pain, so much chaos, and it was so ineffective in every single use of my time and energy. And it was also really helpful because it allowed me to finally surrender to a place of understanding and opening myself up to, I'm not here to do everything alone. No one here does anything alone. No one is like self-made. Everyone is community made. But this, I can do it on my own, the DIY approach can be helpful in a way because it allows you to take personal responsibility and accountability for yourself in seeing like, okay, if this is actually a issue for you, if this is something that you want to heal, then you're going to be responsible for all of it, right? You're going to go out and read the personal development books. You're going to go out and listen to the podcast. You're going to, do the work yourself. You're going to track your habits and you're going to make it work for you. And oftentimes, if you have the resources, like you will just end up hiring somebody because you realize it's much more effective to do it with somebody else. It saves you time, it saves you energy, it saves you like the guessing game. Now, the other approach is to do nothing and to accept where you are at. And I do not say this to be coy, because it can be really easy to be like, yeah, just don't do anything and just see what happens, right? Like you're not going to change. But I don't say this to be coy. I say this genuinely because at the root, right, we have to understand that we are not broken people. We are whole beings, and there are experiences that we have had in our lifetime that has impacted us, okay? And that doesn't take away from the value, the inherent value that you have as an individual. So you can easily still live your life in a way that is fulfilling to you currently with the limitations that you have. Because at the end of the day, we also are all limited beings. We're human beings. We have limitations. Like we do need to sleep. We do need to eat. We do need to poop, right? So already we are limited. So what is it to add on these other limitations that we have? And oftentimes, if you can take this approach in a way that does not pity yourself or blame other people or blame a system for your current situation, you will be able to find a level of peace and self-compassion in yourself. Now, I've taken this pathway multiple times in my life, and there is one specific way that I get out of it that happens every single time that's actually really helpful. And that is because I have accepted my limitations and where I'm at. I adjust my expectations of myself, of my reality. And when I do that, it feels like acceptance of peace at first, but because we are so wired to grow, we are wired to fulfill our potential, our purpose in this life, I start to feel this frustration, this restlessness, this like, I want to do something more with myself, and I want to push myself. I want to get out of this because I know that there's something more for me to create. And that creates this momentum in which then I can use to go and take one of the other pathways of doing something myself or getting help to get out. So let me know in the comments if this helped you, what it brought up for you, and if you want to know more, check out my page because I have so many perspectives on healing, growth, and spirituality that you can check out.